Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naham bhakshitavanamba sarve mithyabhishamsinah yadi satyagirastarhi samaksham pashyame mukham. Naham bhakshitavanamba sarve mithyabhisamshinah yadi satyagirastarhi samaksham pashyame mukham. Naham bhakshitavanamba sarve mithyabhisamshinah yadi satyagirastarhi samaksham pashyame mukham. Ladies, na, not, aham, I, bhakshitavan, have eaten dirt, amba, my dear mother, sarve, all of them, mithya, abhisamshinah, all liars, simply complaining against me, so that you may chastise me. Yadi, if it is actually a fact, satyagiraha, that they have spoken the truth, tarahi, then, samaksham, directly, pashya, see, me, my, mukham, mouth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna replied, my dear mother, I have never eaten dirt. All my friends complain against me are liars. If you think that they are being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Purport. Krishna presented himself as an innocent child to increase the transcendental ecstasy of maternal affection. As described in the Shastra, Tadan Bhayan Mithyoktir Vatsalya Rasa Poshika. This means that sometimes a small child speaks lies. For example, he may have stolen something or eaten something and yet deny that he has done so. We ordinarily see this in the material world. But in relation to Krishna, it is different. Such activities are meant to endow the devotee with transcendental ecstasy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was playing as a liar and accusing all other devotees of being liars. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 12th chapter, verse number 11, Krita Punya Punja. A devotee may attain such an ecstatic position after many births of devotional service. Persons who have amassed the results of a vast amount of pious activities can attain the stage of associating with Krishna and playing with him like ordinary playmates. One should not consider these transactions of transcendental service to be untruthful accusations. One should never accuse such devotees of being ordinary boys speaking lies, for they attained this stage of associating with Krishna by great austerities. Tapasa brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Lord Shri Krishna replied, My dear mother, I have never eaten dirt. All my friends complaining against me are liars. If you think they are being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter number 8, entitled Lord Krishna Shows the Universal Form. This is text number 35. So we have seen in the past few days the different activities of Lord Krishna which are being performed in Vrindavan. Actually, it seems today is holiday, Maharashtra Day, so many of the devotees, more than the usual. So we will for the time being come out of Maharashtra and go to Mahavan and see what's happening there in this particular episode of Krishna's pastimes. I remember last year when Govindpur was giving a class, he was telling that in Srimad Bhagavatam, when these narrations are being given by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, there are two things that we should understand. That one is the historical perspective that these incidents did happen. So this is the Leela or the pastimes which are happening. So he said that a sadhaka should absorb his mind and his heart in the Leela, the pastimes which are going on. of the Lord and the devotees. And he should keenly observe with his intelligence and discrimination and learn lessons from it. So how those pastimes which are happening, how we can apply some lessons in our life. So conversely, we can see that we can observe the Leela and absorb the lessons which are being taught by the Leela. So we generally observe things which are happening by our these eyes, material eyes, which are called as charma chakshu. But when purified by process of bhakti, then we develop jnana chakshu. So that happens with the mercy of Guru and Krishna and the devotees. So it is explained by the different acharyas. Like I'll quote some verses. So it describes what this place Vrindavan is. Sugandhau ma kanda prakara makarandasya madhure vinisyande vandikrita madhupavrindam muhuridam kritandolam madonnatibhir anilai chandana girer mamanandam vrinda vipinam atulam vrindi tundilayati. So here Krishna is speaking that the sweet fragrant honey oozing from newly grown mango buds is again and again attracting groups of bumblebees, and this forest is trembling in softly moving breezes from the Malaya hills, which are full of sandalwood trees. Thus the forest of Vrindavan is increasing my transcendental pleasure. Vrindavanam divyalata paritam latascha pushpa spuritagra bhaja pushpani cha spurti madhuvratani madhuvratascha shrutihari gita. So Balramji is speaking to Sridama Sakha that, my dear friends, see how this forest of Vrindavan is full of transcendental creepers and trees. The tops of the creepers are full of flowers, and intoxicated bumblebees are buzzing around them, humming songs that please the ear and surpass even the Vedic hymns. So the author, Srila Rupa Goswami, is describing that even the bumblebees in Vrindavan are better than the reciters of all the Vedic hymns and Vedanta. And he says that Kvachid bhringi gitam, kvachid anila bhangi shishirata, kvachid vallilasyam, kvachid amalamalli parimalaha, kvachid dharashali karakafalapali rasabharo, rishikanam vrindam pramadayati vrindavane idam. He says, my dear friends, this forest of Vrindavan is giving great pleasure to our senses in various ways. Somewhere bumblebees are singing in groups, and some places mild breezes are cooling the entire atmosphere. Somewhere the creepers and tree twigs are dancing, the mallika flowers are expanding their fragrances, and an overabundance of juice is constantly flowing in showers from pomegranate fruits. So like this, there are so many verses which are given by the acharyas. In fact, there is one whole book which is written by Srila Prabodhanand Saraswati about just Vrindavan. That is Vrindavan Mahimamrit. So we should see that how these activities which are happening in Vrindavan, just the description of Vrindavan is such attractive, and it is a transcendental place. And in this place, all these pastimes of Krishna are happening. So how much can we understand the nature of the pastimes of Krishna? So the Acharya, he explains that, sometimes a low-born person may ignite wood, and that fire can actually purify the gold. So he says, similarly, I am a low person with a very low nature, but whatever I may be speaking about Vrindavan and the glories of Krishna, they can actually purify the dirt from the golden hearted devotees. And he says that sometimes the lamp is not able to, light its own base. There is darkness in the base, but still that lamp can give light and remove the darkness. So similarly, I am unqualified and I am ignorant. I don't have any realizations, but when repeating the words of the acharyas, I hope that some devotees can get help and remember Krishna and get purified. And he says that Vrindavan is like an ocean of nectar, where all the different Vrajavasis, the gopis, they are like the sharks which are moving here and there. And similarly, we can see that there are many devotees here sitting at present, and also some who may not be sitting here and seeing from somewhere else. So we can't compare them to shark to embarrass them, but they are like big fishes, and they have the power to actually flood the people in the ocean of nectar which comes from their mouth in the form of Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan, which we just heard some time back. So I feel I am like a small fish, and they can drown that also, but I can only produce some bubbles. So I hope with all your mercy I will be able to speak something from Srimad Bhagavatam. I remember when I was working, so in my office, my boss, she was a lady boss. She was the age of my mother, and she would many times, keep speaking about her own family and, family affairs like that. So one thing I feel that, although she may be very highly qualified and very professional, but ultimately, the nature is there, the womanly nature. Heart is always absorbed in the household. So sometimes, that creates problem in profession. So, most of our office time would go in all this, So almost the whole of our family had actually come to office sometime or the other, once in a while visiting. So one of her daughters, the eldest daughter, when she was going to get married, so she would actually be sending the daughter to the, going to be husband, the household where she is going to get married and go, so that she can go there and do some menial work, assist her would-be mother-in-law and go for shopping like that. So, she explained that is so that she gets used to the environment, gets acclimatized with the people and the natures like that, so that when she gets married, she will not have any problems. So similarly, we are hearing these different descriptions of Vrindavan and activities of Krishna. So we don't have any attraction, but by repeatedly hearing, we may be able to get adjusted to the mood of Vrindavan, so that we are prepared. If we are fortunate, Krishna takes, then we are prepared for that place, like that. So here in this particular pastime which is happening, Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book, he describes that one day when Krishna with cowherd boys and Balramji, they are playing in Vrindavan. So this pastime of eating dirt, it happened at Brahmanda Ghat, so where we collect all the different dirt from there. Whenever we go there, we see that some people are selling that dirt in the form of peda, and maybe many people who don't know, they actually purchase as peda and they try to eat it also. So I was also victim when I went for the first time. So that is our ignorance. So at Brahmanda Ghat, when Krishna is playing with all the cowherd boys, Brahman Ghat is not very far from Mahavan, as we see, where Krishna was staying before shifting to Vrindavan. So, while playing, then Balram and the cowherd boys, they start fighting with Krishna. And then they come complaining to Mother Yashoda. So, there is a quarrel even there. So sometimes people think, Arey, quarrel is there also. We have so much experience of quarrel here. So, but there is a difference. As Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that Krishna may be behaving like an ordinary child, but it is different. So, usually when there is quarrel, so the first step for solving the quarrel is speak. Just kind of, try to have some solution by speaking, negotiations. And if that doesn't work, then people resort to going to courts. And they keep litigating and fighting there in the court. So here also we see that, in Srimad Bhagavatam, that detailed description is not given as to what happened there. But our Acharyas, Srila Kavi Karnapur, he describes in Anandan Champu that Krishna, when he eats dirt, so these Balram and other boys, they go to Yashoda and they start complaining that, this child Krishna, he is so restless and does not have control over his senses. He is just so greedy, he wants to eat always. He was eating dirt. And we kind of explained him, we rebuked him that don't eat dirt, it is not good. But he does not listen. So Balramji tried the first option, they tried to explain, but he did not. So then these cowherd boys and Balramji, they all go to the courtyard of Mother Yashoda. So sometimes people go to high court. Here this courtyard is on height on the hill of Mahavan. So they go there and they start complaining. So now we see that actually it is described that Balramji has keen discrimination. In Kavi Karnapur describes. So he explained, but it did not work. So he went to Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda, here, she is very much worried that why Krishna is eating dirt. In the previous pastimes, we have seen that Krishna, he started stealing butter. When he started crawling, and then he started going to different homes and stealing butter. And Mother Yashoda was feeling that why Krishna is behaving like that. Is there something lacking from my side? So, am I not feeding him properly? I am giving so many nice things to eat. And there is so much of things in our home. It is sufficient for him to eat. But why he is not behaving like that? So, she is worried. And then, when Yashoda, she actually becomes angry. And he asks Krishna that why you are eating dirt. And then, we hear in this verse that Krishna is defending himself. So, the first rule of defense is that we should deny every statement that is said by the opposition. Now, for those who are knowing or have experience of litigation, they know that whenever anything is there, just deny everything and say that it is totally lie, and we put the opposite person to strict proof. So here Krishna is taking that. He is saying that this is all lie. They don't, actually they picked up a quarrel with me. While playing, they started quarreling. And that was not sufficient, so they became angry at me and then they are just complaining so that you will chastise me. Like that. So, then Mother Yashoda, becoming very angry, she actually chastises Krishna. And she says that, hey you naughty boy, why did you eat clay? Didn't I give you enough sweets? Who can enjoy eating clay? Just as we caught you before doing mischief in their homes, in other homes, now we caught you again. Don't you realize that you cannot hide your faults? your elder brothers and friends are always there to witness all your misbehavior. So here we see that Balramji and the coward boys, they are actually witness. They are appearing as witness against Krishna. And Krishna, to cover up his, naughtiness and his mischief, he actually starts profusely crying. And he starts acting as if he is completely innocent. And then Krishna, he says that I have not eaten dirt. And then he says that if you don't believe my words, or if you think that they are speaking the truth, then you see yourself. So Krishna, he is, leading evidence. So first way of leading evidence is that, you present something, you speak. And then, so we understand from Vedic literature that the best form of evidence is Shabda Praman, which is spoken by the Lord himself. And to support that, we can refer to the Pratyaksha Praman. So he says that if you don't believe me, then you see, you yourself see whether I have eaten dirt or not. So we see that from the Bhagavatam plain reading, we see that Krishna actually ate dirt. And what the coward boys, they said, that was truth, but Krishna is speaking lie here. So the personality of Lord Krishna is very confusing. Right from the appearance, he himself is standing in a crooked way, and his activities are also like that, apparently. So it is very confusing, and people, they feel that why Krishna is speaking in this way, and acting immorally. So it is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, while Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is speaking to Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and he describes the different qualities of Lord Krishna. And he says that Krishna has actually unlimited qualities, but I will describe 64 main qualities of Krishna. And then he says, Vidagdhasya chaturo daksha kritagya sudrida vrata deshakala supatragya shastra chakshu shuchirvashi. Says, Krishna is very expert. Krishna is very expert in artistic enjoyment. He is highly cunning. He is expert, grateful, and firmly determined in his vows. He knows how to deal according to time, person, and country. And he sees through the scriptures and authoritative books. He is very clean and self-controlled. So these are the qualities of Krishna which are described. So one of the qualities is Desha Kala Supatragya, that he knows how to deal according to time, place, and person whom he is dealing with. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Sarartha Darshini, that Tadana Bhayan Mithyoktir Vatsalya Rasa Poshika. So here he says, why Krishna was acting like that? Because now he was dealing with Yashoda Mata. And to nourish the maternal affection or maternal love of Yashoda Mata, Krishna acted as if he was afraid of being chastised. And therefore he speaks a lie here. So we see that Krishna is called as Bhakta Vatsal, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that for him the consideration of the love and affection of his devotees is much higher than the different moral codes. We see that earlier when Krishna was small boy in the lap of Mother Yashoda, so this is the second time that he is going to show the universal form. Previously, when he was a small infant and he just yawned, and Mother Yashoda saw the universal creation in the mouth of the Lord, and she was bewildered at that time. And then yawning, how long it lasts, not very long. So, then immediately, she forgot. But here, when there is this, Krishna is being challenged for his misbehavior. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna wanted to show his opulence to Mother Yashoda. That they are saying like that, but I am different. And he shows this universal form in the mouth. But then we will see later that how Mother Yashoda actually became more bewildered than before. And she started thinking that, oh, this is my illusion to think that I am, wife of Nanda Maharaj, that this Vrindavan is, the place where we live, Krishna is my child. And Krishna saw that this actually does not work because it is actually evaporating the maternal affection. So he immediately covers up her understanding of this. So, as the Acharya explains that in order to just increase the pleasure of Mother Yashoda, he spoke that lie. Otherwise, we see that this Bhakta Vatsalya or Krishna's behavior of putting always love above law, as explained many times by Govind Prabhu, that Krishna is Prem Purushottam, or he gives more importance to love of the devotees than to the moral codes. So here we see that this is not just the one instance where Krishna is actually speaking lie. Although, he just started to speak lie some time back, that he did not steal. Now he is saying that he did not eat the dirt. So we will see that throughout his life later, he did so many things which confuses people. So there is a saying in Hindi that पूत के पाँव पालने में दिखते हैं, like the activities what the child is going to do in future is known in the childhood only, what he is doing. So here we see that Krishna, he is actually contradicting himself only. He is speaking lie. So what was that for? Because he saw that it is for Vatsalya Rasa Poshika, just to nourish the maternal affection of Mother Yashoda. And we see that this doubt, as Prabhupada also explains, that some people may think that why Krishna is acting like that. It was even voiced by Parikshit Maharaj when during this 10th canto only, after the Rasa dance. So he says, Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Shukdev Goswami, that Sakatham Dharma Setu Nam Vakta Karta Bhirakshita Pratipam Achared Brahma Paradara-bhimarshinam. That how Krishna, although he is the original speaker, follower and guardian of moral codes, how then could he actually violate them and have ras dance with others' wives? And then to answer, Shukdev Goswami speaks that Dharma vyatikramo drishta ishwaranam cha sahasam tejiyasam na doshaya vahane sarva bhujo yatha. States that the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgressions of morality. We may see in them audacious morality, we may see in them, for they are just like fire which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. So here we see that Krishna is not an ordinary boy. Shukdev Goswami says that Ishwaranam, that in the powerful controllers, even if we see there are some faults, but because they have that power, they can easily consume that and still not get affected. Just like a big fire, no matter how much you put, it just consumes everything and does not get affected. Not like small fire, you put so much that the fire gets extinguished. And then he says further, Naitat samacharet jatu manasapi yanishwarah vinashyatyacharan maudhyad yatha rudrobdhijam visham. that sometimes foolish people, they imitate these, very advanced and superior people and Lord himself. But their situation is just like that of a person not being Lord Shiva, Rudra, and trying to drink the ocean of poison. The only result is that they actually get destroyed. So we see that so many people try to imitate Krishna and they are just destroyed. But here, all these activities of Krishna, of so-called immorality, but it does not affect Krishna, and people generation after generation keep glorifying the Lord. So we should understand that we cannot see Krishna through our apparent vision, but we should understand his activities from the knowledge and from the transcendental knowledge which is given in the scriptures and by Guru and the Vaishnavas. So we see here, as Srila Prabhupada said, that sometimes ordinary children, they behave like that they eat anything and then they speak lies that they have not eaten. So here, Krishna is behaving like that ordinary child, that he is eating dirt. Now we see that ordinary children, they have that tendency, especially very small children, that whatever they get, they just eat. So in Bhagavad Gita, one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada describes that the conditioned living entity is actually conditioned by different coverings, and he speaks 5 of them, and he says the first one is the Annamaya Kosh. So we see that the ordinary living entity, especially when in the childhood and many times throughout their life, they are in Annamaya Kosh, that only food appeals to them, or anything they see, they relate to that as only food. But here, Krishna, we should understand that he is not on that Annamaya Kosh platform. He is Anandamaya, that he is actually full of bliss, and he only relishes transcendental bliss and happiness. And Prabhupada also mentions that not just Krishna is not an ordinary boy, but even his playmates, one should not accuse that they are liars and that they are speaking a lie, that they are also not ordinary. He explains, he quotes the verse from the 12th chapter, that these boys, they have performed so many unlimited pious activities and gone through purification, as Prabhupada quotes from the 6th canto, Tapasa Brahmacharyena. They have actually completely destroyed the very roots of the sin which are in the heart, which is very difficult to actually destroy. And they are fully purified, Krit Punya Punja, and have so much accumulated pious credits that they have got this rare chance to associate with Krishna and play with him, apparently like ordinary children. So we should not, due to our ignorance, think in these terms that Krishna is an ordinary boy. Because here in the 10th canto, as Prabhupada explains in the introduction and preface of Srimad Bhagavatam, that many times people just jump up to the 10th canto without going through the progression of from 1st canto to the 9th canto. So when a person, he actually goes through, step by step from the 1st canto to the 9th canto, all the doubts about God and his nature are clarified. And when that heart is pure, then there are no more questions. Then there is only relishing the activities of the Lord. So, these generally doubts occur when we have not pure consciousness. And then we see that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, although Krishna does not need any defense, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he defends. He says that why Krishna ate dirt? There are 2 reasons. He says, the first reason is that Krishna wanted to glorify the dust of Vrindavan. the dust of Vraj Bhumi, it is not ordinary. We saw that in so many poetic verses, the Acharyas Rup Goswami and Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur, they describe the glorious nature of the dust of Vrindavan. He says that, in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says that Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha. That in Vrindavan, the dust and small pebbles and stones, they are like Chintamani gem. What is their nature? That they can actually fulfill any of our desires which may have. And this same dust is traversed by so many devotees, by the gopis especially and the gopas, that Krishna wants to glorify that and he wants to eat that. So at Brahmanda Ghat, that is the ghat of Yamuna, so many gopis would be coming to fill the water. So he wants to just glorify the pure consciousness of the gopis and wants to eat or take that dust. And we see that not just the Lord, even the devotees, that Uddhavji, he says that I want to become a small creeper or grass in Vrindavan, so that I can be repeatedly trampled by the gopis, the lotus feet of the gopis, and get their dust. And it is also described by Prabodhanand Saraswati Thakur in Vrindavan Mahimamrit that what this dust is like. He says in some places this dust is white like camphor, and in some places this is like kesar, and in other places it is like musk, dark in color, and some places it is fragrant like agru and chandan. So if that is what the dust of Vrindavan is, then who would not like to eat it? We put all these things in so many different kinds of sweet preparations. So Krishna wants to show that this is not ordinary dust. And Prabodhanand Saraswati further goes on to say that, O great soul, if you roll about in the ground in Vrindavan, then you will attain an exalted position like the beautiful pearl necklace strung by Lord Krishna and worn by Srimati Radharani. This exalted fate will not be very difficult for you to obtain. So the first reason, as the Acharya explains, is that Krishna wanted to glorify for all time to come the dust of Vrindavan. And we see in this nice book of Appreciating Sri Vrindavan Dham by His Holiness Mahanidhi Swami, he has a whole section, a small section with 5-6 paragraphs glorifying the dust of Vrindavan. And he says even today there are some Brajvasis who always carry the dust of Vrindavan with them and keep eating a small portion just to remind them about Vrindavan. And he also says the second reason was to purify the universe. So when Krishna, he ate that dirt and he showed the universal form, the whole universal creation in his mouth. So he just wanted to purify the whole universe by taking it in his mouth like that. So these are the two reasons which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says why Krishna ate dirt in Vrindavan. And just yesterday when we were hearing, in the Brahmachari class, Shyamanand Prabhu was speaking that, he was mentioning that how once this Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, so he is a scholar in religion, and when he was studying, once he asked at this time he was already a devotee and practicing, so he asked his professor that what does Krishna do on a Sunday? Because generally we are always working throughout the week, preparing for the weekend. So we will enjoy on the weekend. So Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he felt that was a natural question. What does Krishna do? What does God do on Sunday? And this kind of question this professor never had from anyone. And in fact, although practicing Christianity for so many years, 40-50 years, he never heard that And he said, these kind of questions are not allowed. You should not ask this. So, Prabhupada, he speaks in many of the conversations. He says that, what conception do people have about God? Here we know who is God, what is his name, who are his parents, where does he live, what does he do. So we have variety in this world, and the spiritual world, which is actually the real place, and the material world is just a reflection, as stated by Lord himself in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, that is also full of variety. And we see here so many descriptions of what are the different variety of activities of the Lord. And this thing, the atheists and some theists also, who are very shallow in their understanding, they actually cannot conceive and perceive that how God can be acting like this. Because as we understand that the consciousness is covered by the layer of dirt. And in one of the sections in Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he presents the whole philosophy in kind of conversation between different people. So he's in one of the conversations, he's actually making the point that we are covered with so much of material inabilities which are like dirt. So how can we get purified of it? So there are different methods which are given in the Vedic scriptures. So the question is asked, can karma kand help? All the activities prescribed in the Vedic literatures of different rituals and yajna and ceremonies. So he says, how can dirt be purified by dirt? We can't clean dirt with dirt. It has to be some purifying object, purifying substance to clean the dirt. So we can't clean a muddy shirt with more mud. It will become more muddy. So he says that these karma kand activities, they actually make the desire for enjoying even more intense. So it is also like, the different processes of atonement are given in the karma kanda section of, how you can purify from sin. But even Parikshit Maharaj, he says that this is, I feel, not better than bathing of an elephant. He is just trying to purify with dirt, becoming more dirty. So he says that is not possible. So karma kand cannot help to purify this dirt. Then he says, okay, so will jnana kand help? So jnana kand is compared to like fire, light. So if a dirty object is exposed to fire, what will happen? The fire will consume the whole object itself. So what to speak of purifying, it will actually destroy the whole thing. So he says, similarly, people who are just resorting to jnana, only jnana, they become so much perverted in their understanding, they actually become atheist and impersonalist. Not atheist, they become impersonalist actually. And that is more dangerous than being atheist, because they try to just make everything as useless and illusory, maya. So then he says that will also not work. So he says the only thing that will work is when a person adopts to the process of devotional service with the mercy of Guru and Krishna and the Vaishnavas. And we see that in this age of Kali Yuga, for us to get purified of this dirt, Lord Krishna, he appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he explains the process by which we can actually purify this dirt from our heart. We see that not just by his different instructions, but by his activities also, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he described that. So I'll just read a section from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Where a similar pastime is enacted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a very small boy, so he also ate dirt. So we'll just read that section for 2-3 minutes. He says that one day, while the Lord was enjoying his playful sports with other little children, Mother Sachi brought a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats and asked the child to sit down and eat them. But when she returned to her household duties, the child hid from his mother and began to eat dirt. Seeing this, Mother Sachi hastily returned and exclaimed, "What is this? What is this?" She snatched the dirt from the hands of the Lord and inquired why he was eating it. So the Lord, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, very nicely he speaks that Kandiya balena shishu kene kararosh tumi mati khaite dile mora ki badosh. Crying, the child inquired from his mother, "Why are you angry? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault?" Khaiye sandesh anna yatika matrika vikar eho mati seha mati ke bheda vichar. Says that fused rice, sweetmeats and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider what is the difference between them. So he says further that this body is a transformation of dirt and the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon this. You are blaming me without consideration. What can I say? So in the purport, Prabhupada explains that how this is the classical misconception which especially in Kali Yuga even the so-called theists or knowers of the Vedanta are afflicted with. He says, Prabhupada explains in the purport that life is meant for varieties of enjoyment. The living entity is by nature full of enjoying spirit, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamayo Bhyasat. The devotional service, the activities are variegated and full of enjoyment. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, all devotional activities are easy to perform, susukham kartum, and are eternal and spiritual, avyam. Since Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they take it for granted that the devotees' activities, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, are all material and are therefore Maya. They also consider Krishna's advent in this universe and his activities to be Maya. Therefore, because they consider everything Maya, they are known as Mayavadis. And he says, the philosophy of Mayavadi is defective because it maintains that everything is Maya, but the nonsense they speak. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then further in the pastime, astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Sachi replied, "Who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt?" She says, replying to the Mayavadi idea of child philosopher, Mother Sachi said, "My dear boy, if we eat dirt transformed into grain, our body is nourished and becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed. In a water pot, which is transformation of dirt, I can bring water easily. But if I pour water on lump of dirt, the lump would soak up the water and my labor will be useless." Then the Lord replies to the mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching this practical philosophy in the beginning?" So here we see that from his activities and from his teachings later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually showed that the devotional service is a practical way of actually engaging our senses and purifying them and developing devotional service to the Lord. So he taught this philosophy of Achintya Bhed Abheda Tattva. And so this Kali Yuga especially is very much infected by the disease of Nirvishesh and Shunyavad. That is, the problem of voidism and non-differentiation, like that. So we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he especially came seeing the time, place and circumstance and taught this philosophy. And we are also able to understand this by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by his teachings, that he establishes that God is not just a concept, but actually he is a person and he is a transcendental person. And furthering the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, by propounding the process of Sankirtan, he is actually emphasizing that by repeatedly hearing and chanting the Lord's holy names, this dirt which is covering our consciousness can actually be cleared. So Krishna in Kali Yuga, he appears in the form of his holy name. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So when we actually chant attentively the names of the Lord, then Krishna in the form of his holy name, he actually eats away all the dirt which is covering our heart. And thus, with purified consciousness, we can actually taste the real nectar of the oceanic love of Godhead. So, just these are the few thoughts that I could gather on this pastime of eating dirt and how, it can. So this could be our prayer, that when we are chanting, that Krishna actually appear in our heart and eat away the dirt of our, different conceptions and the dust of lust which is there in our heart, like that. So I am very sorry that I have taken more than the allotted time, 5 minutes past. So thank you very much for tolerating me. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam.